Next, we are going to go over quartiles. And essentially what these are just very specific percentiles that have been given names. What they do is they separate the data into 4 equal parts, where Q1, our first quartile, is the 25th percentile, Q2 is the 50th percentile, which is also our median, and then Q3 is the 75th percentile. So if I sort of draw that picture that we had looked at when we're using the percentiles a little while ago, where if we have from 0 to 100 for our percent of the data, and right in the middle we have our median, which is Q2, and that is our 50th percentile. And then halfway between 0 and 50 we have 25, and that is our Q1, the 25th percentile. And then halfway between 50 and 100 we have 75, which is Q3. So now you can see in this, we have essentially taken our data, everything from 0 to 100, and broke it into 4 equal parts, essentially quarters. That's why they're called quartiles. So we have 4 different regions of our data that it's been broken down into. So now what we're going to do is to find the quartiles for a data set here. And the data set that we have is the speeds in miles per hour of 19 randomly monitored cars on I-90. And I want to find Q1, Q2, and Q3. So our procedure for finding quartiles starts with always making sure that the data is ranked. Just like with our median, we need to have the data ranked. Otherwise, it's not going to tell us any proper information about it. And then our next step for this is exactly just finding the median, because that is our Q2. We are going to find the value in the middle of our data set, and then after that, we are going to find the medians of each half, the lower half and the upper half of the data. So let's get started to find Q2 for this data set, because this is just the median. Taking a look, I see that it is already ranked. Our numbers are going from smallest to largest in this data set, so we don't need to rewrite them. Some of your WebAssign problems, you will probably need to rewrite the numbers to put them smallest to largest. But now let's find our median. I simply just like to do this by crossing one off from both sides until I get to the middle value or middle 2 values of our data set. In this one, we have an odd amount of numbers. We have 19 values. So that means we are going to have one number in the middle. And there we get our number in the middle is 71. So that is Q2, 71. And now, next, I want to break my data into the upper and lower halves here, so that I can find Q1 and Q3. That means I need to take all of my data values that are less than this median. So if I go on here, I'm just circling my median. I want to find now everything less than the median. So I'm gonna mark a barrier there. One thing to note is that when you have an even amount of numbers and you have to add the 2 middle numbers together and divide by 2, those numbers that you used are still going to be less than your median, so you would include them in finding Q1 or Q3. But in this case, I don't want to include 71 because that's not less than my median, that's equal to my median. So everything less than that, and now let's find the median of this portion of my data set. So if I cross one off from both sides, I get a middle value here of 66. And that is going to be my Q1 for this data set. Q1 because it's on the lower end of my data. And now I'm going to do the same thing with the upper half of my data set to be able to find Q3. So that means I need everything larger, everything greater than my median. So I'm going to mark a line of everything above the median. And now let's find the median of that portion. And we get 75. So this means that Q3, the 75th percentile in this case, is actually 75. So that is essentially the process for finding the quartiles.